Hello, and welcome to the first episode of Welcome. Oh, wow. Let's do that again.
A few times. This was a great idea.
This is such a good idea. Right. This is usually a podcast of outtakes. Hello, and welcome to the This Is an Album podcast with myself, Jacob Green, and my wonderful friend
Reiss Hemming.
And this is a podcast, if you hadn't guessed already, all about albums. And me and Reiss are just going to sit down and we're just going to chat about our favourite albums that we like very much and albums that you guys also send us to. So a few pointers before we start. There will be a few bad words in this podcast. So if you're with a child or someone who isn't a fan of swearing, maybe just listen to something else for a bit and then come back later. Secondly, Reiss and myself have both written down what we're going to call penalty words, and these are words or phrases that I think that Reiss will say and what Reiss thinks I will say, and if either of us say them at any point throughout the podcast, then a forfeit is due for the other person. So they can be anything, and we are asking you guys to send us in some forfeits that will be undertaken. Undertaken, is that a word? We'll go with undertaken.
It is today.
Well, it is today. There you go. At the start of the next podcast, so you can look forward to whatever is suggested for us to do. And finally, we have a nice little interval in between the podcasts where each week one of us will bring a piece of music for the other to react to and listen to. It's very funny or weird, and feel free to send in some strange ones as well, and we'll react to them, no matter how silly. And so without further ado, let's talk about the album that we're talking about today, which is...
What Does It Do by Drew OfThe Drew.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Cool.
All right, so this was my recommendation for you. It's an album that I heard when it first came out in 2015, because it's a bunch of musicians that specifically the drummer, that I am a big fan of. They're all New York based, and it came out in 2015. I listened to it then. I've been kind of obsessed with it, and you've heard bits of it.
Yeah, I remember you showing me at uni and just kind of being like, what is going on? Like my musical knowledge at the time was very, very slim. I was just used to kind of Take That and James Blunt, and then along comes Reiss with Drew OfThe Drew, and it just changed my whole outlook on music. But yeah, really, 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 really amazing album. And I'm very glad that you chose it for this episode. I think it's a great album.
Cool. All right, great. So what are your sort of initial... Because you'd heard a couple tunes, because I remember playing you a few songs.
I think the first one was Forget Me, the first track on the album. It was that and Bad One that you showed me, and I remember Bad One especially because of just the amount of genres that's sort of put into this track without any warning whatsoever. Like, you're just listening to like a cool kind of reggae guitar part and like cool upbeat stuff, and then you're suddenly just like kicked in the nuts by dubstep in the chorus. It's like, what? You just don't see it coming. And I think it's absolutely genius, and like the production's phenomenal across the album. I think that's kind of what I liked about it so much, because it's such a mix of things, like you say. Like, it's got loads of it's like genre hopping consistently, and I think some songs do it better than others, and maybe we'll get into that. But for me, it was just the production it's like I've never heard anything like it. Still never heard anything similar. No. Where because Drew, I don't know his full name. I'm guessing his name is probably Drew. I
actually don't know.
I've seen a few interviews and like him talking to the camera, and he's like, "Hi, my name's Drew OfThe Drew," and I'm
right. Okay.
I mean, it'd be quite incredible if his first name was Drew, middle name of the last name Drew.
So he's an amazing bass player, and he is on like the session freelance circuit in New York and stuff as a bass player, but he's predominantly a producer, and he produces for loads of different people. But I guess what's cool about this album is that it's got all of his amazing bass playing and his sort of like electronic and dubstep kind of production, but it's with like all these crazy musicians.
Yeah, that's definitely from like the get-go. You can kind of tell that these guys know what they're doing.
Yeah, and even like the songwriting is kind of like specific songs anyway are like, you know, it's like they were written as like a club banger, but it's played, but it's played by a bunch of musicians live in a room with like two drummers, and it's so it's like really different.
That's what I found when, obviously, I remember a lot of like the thing we used to do the most at uni when we were showing each other music was to play like them playing it live, so you could see them doing it, and it was like seeing them do it with the two drummers and just the whole setup they had and how tight it was the whole time. Like it's just phenomenal. I think this album. I've spoken to a lot of people, and I'm like, "Do you know about this album, or have you heard this song?" And they have no idea that this kind of music's out there. Which I think this is why it's good that we're doing this, to kind of show people these kind of albums, because I think this is such a brilliant piece of work.
Yeah, I think so as well, and I do think it's relatively unknown. I think I know a lot of musician friends that know it.
Yeah,
but kind of outside of like music uni students, I don't really know how many people are kind of a fan of it. So because I think people find out about it the same way I did. Like, you know, I'm a fan of JP Bouvet, who's one of the drummers, and I found he posted a video of him recording some of this stuff, and that's how I found it. So yeah, I don't know how else anyone else would.
No, I haven't seen any. I don't think I've seen a festival lineup or anything like that with these guys on.
No, I don't think they've ever done really. I don't think I've ever done shows.
And I think the kind of music that I listen to, even across the range of music that I listen to, if you were to go onto like the artist radio and stuff, I don't think these guys would come up.
Yeah.
Just because it's so hard to kind of, you put them in one music bracket for 1 minute, and then 30 seconds into this, like later into the song, you've got a completely different genre.
Yeah, exactly. So, go on.
I was just going to say, which was kind of what I found most interesting when I was thinking about like, what song would you recommend to someone if you were like getting into this band?
Oh, I don't know, because none of them are really that easy to listen to.
It's varying.
Like maybe Riverbed.
I was gonna say Riverbed, purely because I think that's my favorite song on the album, just because of one part.
Yeah, what part?
The scratchy bit into the chorus.
Oh,
I think that's one of the coolest things I've ever heard in. In a song. It's a transition.
It's crazy, isn't it?
It's genius. It's like one of the most simple things you can do on the guitar, and it's filthy. It's absolutely filthy.
Yeah, it's really cool. So maybe that one. I mean, it's like the softest tune on the album, probably. That's like a full song, because you've got like I think it's Mistakes. The song afterwards is like a really chill kind of like instrumental thing. Mostly instrumental, and it's like it's kind of like a bit of a spacey thing.
Yeah, because there's that section in Riverbed where it kind of comes out the big chorus, and it just goes into like this atmospheric section for a while, and then it goes back into the big stuff. If you were to draw this album in like peaks, it would be like, it'd be mental.
It does. I mean, it kind of does. Like every song is so extreme.
I think it's.
But and some of them, I think maybe because I've listened to it quite a lot. But Forget Me, the first song on the album. Is kind of the one where I think they purposefully tried to jab in, you know, different styles. You know, it does all this sort of funk stuff in the verses, and then it literally stops and goes into like a pop punk.
Yeah. Oh, the
chorus.
Yeah.
And then it's got the dubstep bits,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like they've like shoehorned it in.
I feel like the way I imagine them songwriting these is like they'll just write loads of genres on a dice and then just roll it and just go, okay, that's the next section then, and we'll make it work. Like double time pop punk beat into a dubstep trap thing, and it's just it's brilliant.
I think Bad One, which is the next song on the album, does the same thing where it's swapping between loads of different things, but it feels like much more of a cohesive, like it's supposed to be like that, and it actually is a bit of like a journey throughout the song.
Definitely.
Rather than like, here's a reggae verse and then we're going into a death metal chorus. It's fun. Like it's I think Bad One is kind of one of my favourite songs on the album. I think it's definitely up there. And I have a fun bit of trivia for you that you don't know.
Okay.
So for those listening, just before we recorded this, I re-listened to the album again and found out that it was on Bandcamp. And when you download it off Bandcamp, it has like a booklet with all the lyrics and details about each song and stuff. And you haven't seen this.
No, I'm excited.
But the Bad One is about, and you might not believe this. Oh, there we go. It's about the rise and fall of Sauron.
Oh my! Shut up! That is fucking amazing.
Which I had no idea. I mean, I'm not that big of a Lord of the Rings. I've seen the films.
No
and,
way.
Here we go. Lyrically, this is by far the nerdiest song. He wrote of the.
This guy.
Lord of the Rings fans will notice lyrics such as "The Stronghold of Daggledor," and in the title, in brackets, it says "The Black Gate opens," which is the Black Gate to Mordor.
Yeah.
And one of the lyrics is "The One Ring has never fallen." Like, it's really
this is incredible.
It's really on the nose. Essentially, it's about Sauron's rise and fall from power, and how he wants to regain his human form and cover the world in an everlasting darkness.
That is. I love this song even more now.
Yeah, and it kind of makes sense how extreme it sort of flows.
Massively.
The fact that it's literally about that.
Do you know what I'm gonna do after this? I'm gonna watch Fellowship of the Ring, and I'm gonna put Bad One on to the intro battle scene, and just, oh my god, that's incredible.
Yeah, isn't that nuts?
I love it. Oh, that's such good trivia.
Yeah. So
I mean, I can kind of see why this song wouldn't fit into the soundtrack of Lord of the Rings. However, it should.
Maybe. Something about dubstep doesn't really...
It doesn't scream Middle-earth.
Not really. I did want to bring up in this song that I think it's my favourite guitar solo of all time.
Right, okay.
I might play a bit. So this section here. With the claps. I mean, this is right up my street.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, this really satisfies my inner 15-year-old.
I mean, if there was a descending pentatonic line with some chorus and reverb, then yeah, I'd be there for it.
But yeah, Yeah, I think it's amazing.
Yeah, looking at these lyrics now, honestly, I absolutely love that this is a tribute to
It's so cool,
to
isn't
Lord
it?
of the Rings. It makes so much sense now.
I mean, it literally says, so what is it? Break me, help me feel again. The black gate has opened. The one ring has never fallen.
Oh, it's just incredible.
Which is so cool.
It's great. The thing is, like, I watched an interview. Well, it wasn't an interview. They did like a mini like meet the band. It was called like View of the Drew. That's on YouTube, and it's like you kind of look at them, and they're all wearing like neon and like just kind of out there clothing and stuff, and you kind of think like, what? Like if you based it on looks, you're like, what is going on? And then they suddenly sit down to play, and you're like, okay, this is what's going on. This is incredible.
Yeah.
Like, I had this really stupid thought of their style reminds me of. I don't know if you had this at your school, but when I was in secondary school, like year 7 and 8, maybe even primary school, year 6, there were basically these T-shirts that were like the really in thing, which was like they were various neon colours. They were like collarless polos.
Oh yeah.
And then like the seams would be like white or a different neon
I had one.
color. I had one of those too, and that is the style of Drew OfThe Drew. That is what I think of style wise, which I don't know if I like that or not.
I think it's cool, and the whole thing with Drew of the Drew, he always wears green, like he wears like neon green. He has like a neon green bass, and he has like a green D.
He made that bass.
Did he?
Yeah, he made. I read something that he made that, which I thought was cool, and you can kind of see. You can see.
Yeah. You've read up about this more than I did.
Well, I mean, it was kind of annoying. Like, I wanted to do some really in-depth reading on it, but I found that most of the websites that featured him, they literally just copy and pasted his press release, which was like, okay, so I'm just reading the same thing over and over again. I did find something quite cool, and it kind of showed his ethos towards music, which I quite liked. Which was the interviewer asked him, if you're on a desert island, what 5 items do you take? And most people in that situation would be like, I don't know, my laptop, a guitar. If they're a musician, you'd kind of take something musical with you. He just went straight for a boat, 2 paddles, fishing rod, and a book, so that I can get back to society as quick as possible. Because music is a collaborative thing. Yeah. And I was like, that makes so much sense, and it kind of shows how he looks at it instead of me just going, I'll take a guitar on my PlayStation.
Yeah, man, I can't live without the 3rd Foo Fighters album.
I mean,
that was actually a story. You know, remember? I think it was the Chilean miners. Was it the Chilean miners, or it was like people trapped in a mine, as seems to happen way too often.
Oh yeah. Jorge Gallegos.
You remember him?
You remember him?
Oh man, what was I saying? There was a story of a guy that was trapped in a mine. Like he was trapped, it was going to be weeks until he was going to be freed out, right? And it's a story that Dave Grohl told, and his manager got a phone call because this guy was asking for like water, food, and the last Foo Fighters album.
Amazing.
And it's like, can you imagine?
Of all the things, like they're like, okay, we can't deliver that much stuff to you. You have to choose wisely. But what's he going to play the 3rd Foo Fighters album on? Like, did he have?
I think it was an iPod. I think he got delivered an iPod.
I was going to say they just deliver him a vinyl, and he's just there like scraping a rock on it, trying to make sound. I love this album.
Oh man! So the 3 songs that really stick out to me: Bad One, Drown in This Wreck, and Riverbed. They're my favourite 3 by far. And Drown in This Wreck is literally just it's just a club banger. Yeah. But it's got really like janky chords.
Love it.
And a dual drum solo in the middle, which I'm a fan of.
As you do.
And like really fuzzy bass sounds and
Nice.
like loads of all the classic things that are sort of featured throughout the whole album. But it's so good. Like I can just imagine. I remember when I first hearing it, thinking like, oh, why is like Disclosure currently or like always played in the club? Like I would way prefer to listen to this than.
So do you want to hear
else.
something funny? It's funny you say that. He listed his influences in this interview.
Yeah.
And Disclosure are one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's he mentioned Disclosure, Diplo, Skrillex, and Flume, which definitely covers the dubstep EDM side of things.
But it's like he mixed all of that, but it sounds like none of them, but all of them at the same time. I
think it's phenomenal.
But Drowning This Wreck, I read, was actually supposed to have just been an instrumental.
Oh.
And they played the whole thing as an instrumental live, and it never had any vocals.
Right.
And then Joanna just came in one day and recorded all of the vocals over top.
Oh, sick.
Which is like really cool, because most of these songs, from what I read in the sort of the liner notes of the album, whatever, Drew wrote a lot of the lyrics on a lot of them. He wrote the majority of the songs.
Right.
And then got everyone in to sort of, do their thing on it.
That's sick.
But Drowning This Wreck was an instrumental until Joanna wrote all the stuff on top of it, which is awesome. I love the vocals on that.
Yeah, no, I think across the album the vocals really work, because you think with such what can be like really hectic, controlled chaos at times, the vocals still manage to fit on top and cut through just as much as the instrumental stuff does. I think it's really, really impressive. Which I think, mentioning impressive, I think that takes us quite nicely on to our interval.
Oh god. Okay.
So Reiss, I was undecided on what to present to you, and throughout this sort of discussion, I was going to give you an option of one or two. However, I think I'm going to go with number one, because I think it'd be good to open it off with a banger. And so, just to kind of set the scene of what I'm about to show you, the guy who is doing the vocals on this track is a 2-time Emmy winner, a 1-time Golden Globe winner, a 1-time Streamy Award winner. He's on the Hollywood Wall of Fame, and he's been in films like Bill and Ted and Over the Hedge and many more. He was also Captain Kirk in Star Trek from 1966 to 1969. And...
What is going on?
bear with me. It's a song that we all know and love. This is Mr. William Shatner doing Bohemian Rhapsody.
What the hell?
Is this the real life? Is this just fantasy?
Oh, stop.
Caught in a landslide, no escape from reality. Open your eyes. Look up to the skies and see.
Why does he sound like Winnie the Pooh?
I need no sympathy, 'cause I'm easy come, easy go, little high, little low.
Oh,
Anyway,
genius.
the wind blows.
yeah.
Doesn't really matter to me. To me.
Okay, so it's lovely, and then you get into the bulk of it. Well, let's go here and just see where it takes us.
I don't want to die. I sometimes wish I'd never been born at all.
Okay. That's mortifying.
It's like he's had a recording career previously. Like, he's recorded actual songs, and when I saw this, I was like, William Shatner's gonna go for it on Bohemian Rhapsody. He just talks over it.
He just talks the whole time.
He just talks as if it's a monologue, and I thought, what best way to start this weird and wonderful segment with an acclaimed actor just talking over Bohemian Rhapsody.
I love how this segment was supposed to be you show. I thought you were going to show me like some far off like something I would never have heard before, and you played me Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah, but it's not just Bohemian Rhapsody. It's Bohemian Rhapsody with William Shatner talking over it. I mean, the other one you would have. I mean, if you didn't like this, you would have hated the other one.
Yeah, I'm sure I would. Well, Seeking Major Tom, so I can guess what other covers he's been doing.
I wonder. But
I don't want to hear that.
I just googled weird songs on Spotify, and this was one of them.
We're really putting in the effort for this podcast.
Oh, I thought start it off with an absolute bang, and I feel like I did.
Definitely.
I think it's genius, and I think William Shatner should do more like that.
He should.
There probably is more like that, but we'll have to get in touch and just say, hey, William, if you're listening to this, actually, yeah, William Shatner, if you're listening to this podcast,
yeah,
get another one out. Maybe not that exact phrase, but release another song, please.
Pull up, William Shatner. Pull up.
Oh, I mean, imagine the first episode we do, we get William Shatner listening. For no apparent reason. He just knows. The second that someone presses play on Bohemian Rhapsody, he knows where you are.
Yeah.
This is calling.
Yeah.
So that was the first silly interval.
Loved it. I loved it.
I'm glad you did, and I'm glad I went with that one because I mean I'll just tell you what the other one. The other one was Peter and the Wolf, narrated by Bill Clinton.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
And I had another introduction for that one. The introduction for that one was he was the governor of Arkansas. He went to Yale. He was born William Jefferson Blythe III in 1946. Became president in 1993. Served 2 terms and did not have sexual relations with that woman. So yeah, that was that.
Should we move on?
Let's move straight on. That never happened. I love it.
One thing that I love about this album is all the vocal effects.
Yeah, they're
Obviously
they're very clever.
Like the production on everything is amazing, but the vocal effects that he does on these songs is just nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't really know how he did a lot of them, and I couldn't find it actually when I listened to it earlier. I remember the last time I listened to it, it was probably like over a year ago or something, this album.
Mm-hmm.
There's a point where it's like a really specific like delayed reverb thing going on somewhere in the middle of one of the songs. I used to be obsessed with it and just play that little bit over and over again. I got really
I love it.
obsessive about it.
Yeah, I just think like I said earlier, the vocals cut through so well across all of the songs just during the mental bits, and I think the use of vocal effects in the right place at the right time definitely helps massively. And I think it's such a hard thing to do.
Yeah, definitely.
Like to get it spot on the way, and like using the right effect at the right time, the way that that Drew does. I think it's really quite clever. And I also go on. No. After you.
Speaking of vocal effects,
Oh.
On is it Mistake? No, Tail Lights.
Mm-hmm.
The last song, it's the very last song, where it's sort of like a duet between Joanna's vocals, which already have like loads of effects and like it's doubled and stuff, and Drew on a vocoder.
Right.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't.
So, let me play it.
I work hard to get my life the way I want it to be.
So she's got that kind of sound on it, but then here we go.
Oh, I do know this bit. Yeah.
From this one-way street, 'cause all I see is twilight when I look into your eyes. Let me go.
Yeah, I love it.
This is very. I mean, this is just 22 a million Bon Iver for me.
Yeah, it really is.
It's just that like just beautiful vocoder and live vocal harmonies. I love
Do
it.
you want to know? Do you want to know something funny, Jacob?
Drew of the Drew is Bon Iver.
No. Drew the Drew is not Bon Iver, but Bon Iver is my penalty word.
No! God damn! Did you bring this? You brought this up just so I'd say that, didn't you?
No,
You
I wanted to go
prick.
through every single song.
You
No.
prick. Oh, that is such a joke. Oh, for fuck's sake. Well, okay, there we go then. I will
There you go.
be...
So if anyone's got an idea, all three of you listening, if anyone's got an idea
Thanks, Mum.
of what of a forfeit Jacob should do at the beginning of next
brilliant.
episode, I don't
Oh,
know.
you cucked me so hard there.
It would have been pointless if we had the first episode and the
For God's
penalty
sake.
word didn't come up.
Do I have to tell you mine now because I've lost, or is mine still active?
Oh, interesting.
I don't think you're going to say mine now. I feel like an idiot.
Oh, go on, tell me.
It's flam.
What is it? Flam?
Yeah, it's like a drum flam.
Why would I say that?
I don't know, because you'd be talking about the drum part, be like, yeah, does this sick flam into this part?
No one's ever said.
Oh,
sick
come on,
flam.
I know how you drummers talk,
No.
weirdos. All right, well, yeah, at the start of the next podcast, I will do whatever I am requested to do. That is within legal reasons. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Well, have you got anything you want to add about any of the songs or anything to do with the album or?
Oh, I will say actually, what I did, my fondest memory of this album was in one of our lectures.
Leaving to go and listen to it.
Yeah, this sucks. I'm out. I'm gonna go listen to Drew the Drew by the river. I remember one of the lecturers asking, "Does anyone know a song or band that include multiple genres in their music?" And I was like, "Me, I do," and I played it, and they were honestly like, "This is incredible. Thank you so much for sharing." And at that point, I felt that I had officially distanced myself from Take That and Jason Mraz, and I was a new musician.
What a beautiful bookend to this podcast.
And at that moment, Gary Barlow left my body, and I became a musician. Not that Gary Barlow is not a musician, but I can't imagine Drew of the Drew featuring Take That.
No, I can't.
That would be incredible, though.
That would be good.
But I think that's a nice way to end this.
I think so. You came into this experience a Take That fan.
And I left.
You left not a Take That fan.
No, I mean, they still got some bangers. On record, I'm going to say that Take That have got some bangers.
Yeah.
But you know, maybe somewhere down the line, I'll bring a Take That album and I'll convince you that it's amazing.
Yeah.
Well,
that'll definitely get copyright strikes.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if it does, Gary Barlow can go fuck himself.
He can go fuck himself anyway.
This is all, yeah.
Pay your...
do you know what? We're changing.
Pay your tax, Gary.
We're changing the theme of this podcast. We're not talking about albums. We're talking about how much we hate Gary Barlow. But yeah, I think that's a nice way to end. And
I think so.
Am I bringing the next album or?
Yeah, you bring the next. Have you thought of what the next one's going to be?
I have an idea. I think I'm going to go with.
Okay.
This is a nice album that I discovered recently. Oh no!
Oh.
That was not. So that shows that I was doing my listening before the podcast.
Yeah.
This album was sent to me by my lovely friend Charlie. Shout out to Charlie. And this album is by a very cool band called Video Age.
Okay.
And it's a really cool, like, upbeat, funky 80s beats and really nice electric bass stuff.
Yeah.
The album artwork's really cool. The general aesthetic's really cool. And the album is called Pop Therapy. Came out in 2018 by Video Age. And so
cool.
I think that would be a cool one to go with. I think I think this album people could probably go away and listen to a little bit more than Drew of the Drew. However, that's not to say that people shouldn't go and listen to Drew of the Drew. I highly recommend it. And I have to admit, and it would pain me to say that this mic has done nothing the entire time.
Doesn't work, does it, man?
Doesn't work. I mean, there's a red light on it, and that's it.
Yeah.
You know, so if anyone wants to fund my next microphone, I'm always ready to accept payments.
It's worth mentioning as well, I'm currently sat in front of a pile of soil because I knocked over a plant as I sat down to record this. So I'm gonna go clean that up.
Nice.
And we'll see you in the next episode of what's the podcast called? What
This is an album.
This is an album.
This is an album.
Tune in next week.
Nice one.
Well, we'll be
see you later.
Well, we'll be listening. Well, we'll be listening to Jacob.
Oh,
what
yes.
Listening to?
Not see you later. We'll be listening to Video Age and their album Pop Therapy.
We're shit at this. All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.